Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to World Human Sciences and Management Conference 2021-22. This is Rudra Das, Executive Director, CARD Odisha. We are proud to announce that this conference is conducted along with Indian Institute of Management, Sambalpur, Central University of Odisha, Koraput, and Ravenshaw University, Cuttack. I welcome our speaker for today, Professor Devesh Walia, and participants across the globe watching us through Facebook and YouTube Live. The broader theme of this conference is AGNOTOLOGICAL context, disciplinary practices of social sciences and policy frames. On behalf of Center for ADIVASI Research and Development, I extend my profound gratitude to our patrons, Professor Dr. Sanjay Kumar Naik, respected Vice Chancellor, Ravenshaw University, Professor Mahadev Joyaswal, Director, Indian Institute of Management, and Professor Sarath Kumar Palita, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Odisha. The convener of this largest virtual conference are eminent Indian historian, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, and eminent writer, Mr. Charudat Panigrahi ji. Dear friends, the outcome of this conference is to come up with national and international framework for the education system in future, and crux of this conference will be the use of digital technology such as artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and virtual reality that is being increasingly adopted after the outbreak of COVID pandemic. We hope this conference would help students, faculties, researchers, and all to expand their mental horizon and help the education system to adopt the best in future. Ladies and gentlemen, our center is a leading research-oriented institution promoting ethnographic, empirical, and evidence-based research for engaging and addressing the challenges that 21st century globe is facing today. The prime agenda of this institution is to come up with the potential solutions for social change while believing in the idea of debate, dialogue, discussion, and expertise experiencing in education. The institution focus on marginalized communities and work for their livelihood to protect the nature, culture, language, and identity in particular. The age of modernity has witnessed that change is the only constant phenomena for societal purpose to enhance knowledge. Our information work for them is methodical and avoids paradoxically framework which is neglected so many centuries from theory to become practice. Our center sincerely believes in the concept of social marketing, which is seriously looking for non-profit marketing and builds new social entrepreneurship for check and balance mechanism to glorify generations to come. Center for Adivasi Research and Development come to serve with the holistic approach of critical thinking in education to fill the gaps and plan accordingly for the voiceless communities. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's evening, we have with us one of the very important think tank of the 21st century is none other than Professor Devesh Walia. Dr. Walia is a professor in the Department of Environmental Studies, head Department of Geology, and CEO Information Center, Northeastern Hill University, and Chief Coordinator of Deen Dayal Upadhyay University, College for Skill Development, NEHU, Shillong. He completed his university education in 1985 and M.Tech in Applied Geology in 1988 from Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, and PhD in 1997 from Guwahati University, Guwahati. Subsequently, he joined NEHU as a faculty in 1990 and actively engaged in teaching, research, and consultancy with more than 30 years of experience. So in today's symposium, Professor Walia will deliver his talk on the topic of the role of modern technology for tribal development, special focus on Northeast regions. So without taking much time, I would like to invite Professor Walia to initiate his talk. Over to you, sir. Sir, please unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Rudnaranji,
Thank you.
for very good introduction. So, without wasting much time, I'd like to share my presentation and then start some discussion. Hopefully, I'm the slides are visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Your
So, good evening,
voice and audio
everyone.
is okay, and your presentation is okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to thank World Human Sciences and Management Conference and would like to congratulate you for organizing the conference on such a relevant and important topic. Uh, as I am from Northeastern region, so we'll share some of the important parameters. Anytime, anything you want, we are free to discuss. Although a short presentation is there considering a time, probably you'll find interest in the topic. So just I would like to, before moving on, I should tell you that whatever we see, whatever we get on the surface of the earth, it is product of hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary history, and everything is in equilibrium. So we should not worry too much, but only thing is we need to maintain it, we need to have a sustainable growth and development of it so that it doesn't get shattered, it doesn't get go away from our hands, from our generations, because we are just the custodian of the wealth of life on the earth of our future generations. So we need to take care of it. And accordingly, you know that there have been tribals, or we call them commonly aboriginals or indigenous people of the land. They mostly live in the far-flung areas, because today's topic is related to the tribal population. So we must try to understand their basic requirement, their basic needs, and so that our whole build-up, whole conceptualization of their problem and all the facilities, we don't commit mistake. So normally they live in the inaccessible hill tracts, virtually cut off from the mainstream of the societies. So that's what they are, the whole lot of people they are living. And even today, 90% of the tribal populations, they live in the forest tracts. They don't come out to the surface, they live there only. Their intricate link with the forest as their arogya and their asra, means food, well-being, and security. They are dependent upon the forest, and that's what is the relationship which is developed, a symbiotic relationship. Their physical and cultural survival is also dependent upon the forest and the forest related livelihood. United Nations in 1993 declared the International Year of the World's Indigenous People. We can understand that they could understand that the growing concern of the world's highest body for development of the indigenous people all over the world is indicative of their importance. And in 1993, when we celebrated, we gave proper attention to their requirements and their growth and development and their amalgamation with the various developmental schemes. As per the UN records, around 67.76 million tribals, or you can say indigenous people, they which constitute around 23% of the world's indigenous population, lives in India. So India has got very big population, and this population is living in remote forest and hill regions. The tribal people of India have remained unrecognized and ignored and suffered a long neglect and isolation all through the centuries, because as I already told you that they live mostly in a far-flung areas or in the forest tracts. They speak more than 150 languages. They constitute, there are around 225 subsidiary languages. Very recently, we did one program of the tribe on the tribal people of Arunachal Pradesh. We found that they have never been exposed. Arunachal Pradesh is so commonly visited place. They have never been exposed. They were never exposed to the common people of say Dibrugarh and Tinsukia region, whereas they were just 50 kilometers away. So these tribals are scattered all along the length and breadth of India, from the Himalayas to the Indian Ocean and from the Arabian Sea to the eastern frontiers. And in the land of this kaleidoscopic diversity, these tribals who have contributed to the richness of our culture and heritage are at different stages of development, and their problems differ from area to area and even within their own groups. Because they are so much diverse, we must understand India has got varied topographical features. We have on one side, we have got the areas which are filled with great amount of water. Then there are some mountains, and then we do have areas which doesn't have proper water, or it is arid in nature, Thar desert and all. Although in India we have got the many rivers are originating like river Ganges and all, and then we have got a transition zone, and even we have got the floodplain. So not only the population is varied, but the topography is also of varied nature. And at present, these tribals, they occupy the central belt, ranging from the Aravalli Hills in the west and extending into the parts of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar, West Bengal, and the northeastern states. In the north, these tribal populations, they are concentrated in the southern ranges of the Himalayas, and in the south, in the western Ghats and eastern Ghats, in the Vindhyans and Satpura ranges. So normally they don't come to the urban areas. They occupy the hilly terrains or the difficult terrains, or as I already said, the far-flung areas. Though tribal communities are distributed in most of the states in India, but there are few concentration points of regional distribution. So considering the geographical, social, economic, linguistics, ecological, ethnic, and racial factors, the tribal communities living in different regions of the country can be broadly divided into following distinct zones. And we know that in the northeastern region, in the mountains and in the valley, and other areas of northeastern India, covering states and union territories like Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, and Tripura, all these are states now. There lives the tribes, like various tribes are there: Garos, Khasis, Kukis, Mizos, Nagas, Mishmis, Mikirs, so many are there. And mostly because their face and their nearness to the further eastern Myanmar and Vietnam is there, so they are Mongolian Asian stock is there. In the Himalayan region as such, or in the sub-Himalayan region, covering parts of North Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Himachal, Jammu and Kashmir and all, these are also very similar to Lepchas, Asurs, Bhotias and all, and they also look wise Mongolian social stock. It means that the northeastern region and the Himalayan region, they have got some similarities. In the central India, in the older hills like Chota Nagpur Plateau and all, they in the peninsular India or in the say Indo-Gangetic basin, these tribal communities like Konds or like Santals, all these they are occupying. They look wise, they are proto-Australoid racial stock is there. And in the western region, covering the state of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, and Dadra and Nagar Haveli, these communities, these tribal communities, they belong to Bhils, and they are also like proto-Australoid groups in the southern India, whereas covering states of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, and even in the Nilgiri Hills and all, these tribals, they are Negrito or Caucasoid or proto-Australoid or mixed physical features are there. Whereas in the island regions of Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep Island and all, these tribes like Andamans, Jaravas or Shompens, etc., they are there. So they are like Onges and Sentinelese because Down there, there is a Sri Lanka, and also there are similarities is there with these regions. So you can understand that so much diverse these tribal population is. These tribal populations use a very simple technology which fits well with their ecological surrounding and their conservative outlook. Normally, they don't mix up with the rest of the population, so they do belong to conservative outlook. Moreover, the tribal economy, we can say that it is a subsistence type, and they practice different types of occupation to sustain themselves and live on marginal economy. They don't believe in not many economic activities and all. They belong to different stages of economy, from food gathering to industrial labor, which present their overlapping economic stage in the broader framework of the stages of economy. The level of tribal economy is quite uneven, though their economy is largely self-sufficient, unstructured, and non-specialized. Before thinking of application of modern technologies, we need to understand their community and their system of generating the economy. And this community itself, it acts as a cooperative unit, and the tribal unit communities living in a village or locations are economically interdependent among themselves, while the distribution is generally based on gift and ceremonial exchange. Just remember, whatever they have got, they believe in gifts and exchanges, or absence of profit motive in economic dealings, and presence of periodical local markets are two special features which are rampant in tribal economy, because they believe in a group and development of those regions. Another important aspect of tribal economy is the low level of its monetization and the presence of the barter system. Still, they believe in the barter system. The essential characteristics of these communities are primitive traits, geographical isolation, distinctive culture, and shyness of contact with the community at large, and which has led to the economic backwardness too. They believe that they are made with such integrated aspects, and they are made up of for such. And in the 1991, when the census was carried out, around 42% of the scheduled tribe population, which constituted the main workers, of them 54% were cultivators and 32% were agriculture laborers. So you can understand that basically these are cultivators and agriculture laborers, and around 87% of the total 42% of the main workers are wholly or largely dependent upon the agriculture. So the main agriculture base is basically developed or is protected by these tribal people. While there has been no change in the occupational pattern of scheduled tribes, they still constitute bulk of the cultivator class, landless agriculture labor, construction worker in the unorganized sector, and suffer from long periods of unemployment and underemployment. So remember one more important thing, because these tribals, they live in the marginal, they develop the marginal economy, and they live in the foothills of the Himalayan regions and all, and hence they are one of the instrumental in conserving the natural habitat, and they worship the habitat, or the tribals, they worship the habitat as home of God and goddess. So they don't disturb the nature too much. They crop plants, which are source of the food, and the diversity of plants conserved by the tribals are wild fruit, seeds, bulbs, roots, and tubers, which are used for edible purposes. The plants conserved by the tribals in natural habitat are utilized as medicinal herbs also. Many times they are more dependent, or they are more usage of the Ayurveda and all. We just talk of the Ayurvedic system, but the local healers or such healers in the tribal society, they use the medicinal herbs, or even they know the plants, what are the trees, what are the part of the trees which are used for the orthopedic purposes also. And they just conserve the sacred groves. Like in Meghalaya, there are some sacred groves are there from where not even a fruit, not even a leaf, not even a broken tree or the fallen shoot is taken out, because they conserve it. And that's what is the in situ conservation of biodiversity, which we try to tell the people through various practices and all, which are being followed by these tribal peoples. So these tribal peoples are very rich in indigenous knowledge. There have been a lot of welfare programs for scheduled tribes, and central and state governments are, along with the various voluntary organizations, they take steps so that the welfare measures of the tribal they are taken care of. There are definitely certain constitutional norms are there to safeguard the interests of the tribals. And just to tell you a few, that giving equal rights and opportunities to all citizens of India, including the tribal, without any discrimination, which Article 14 and Article 15 says such things. Article 2, second important thing is that giving reservation in employment and in the legislation for the tribals is also given in Article 335, 330 or 332. But the important thing is that practically how much they are being able to achieve is one important thing. Given tribal right to own property in any part of the country is already given by the constitutional safeguard, or protecting the economic and educational interest of the tribals is again given in Article 46, which says that educational and economic interest of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other weaker sections needs to be protected. There are various special central assistance are there which are being provided, and as such today around 22 states and 2 union territories has got around 38 million plus tribal population. Although as they grow, they come out of that population also, but that much population of India is there. The specific objectives set forth under the tribal sub-plan strategy, they have been many, and they are for raising production in the field of agriculture, small industries, horticulture, animal husbandry, and likewise so many areas where the tribal sub-plan strategy they have been adopted. There are a number of economic programs they are developed, and the facilities are provided so that they are undertaken to improve the economic conditions of the tribals in the country. There has been 20-point program focused on the with the attention on the development of the scheduled tribes, which includes assistance to the tribal families, economic assistance, or to enable them to cross the poverty line so that they are able to amalgamate, they mix up with the other population. They have been imparted vocational training, and even in the tribal areas, like in the present government under Prime Minister Modi, there have been stress on the skill development or the vocational training in the tribal areas, because they know the forest, the NTFPs, non-timber forest products so well that that indigenous knowledge can be used for not only for developing the skills for the tribal youth to gain the employment, but to bring them to the main forefront of the country's development and to share with them. And because they are very good in the handicraft and such home industries, so they also need to be encouraged, and making agriculture stable by persuading the tribals to give up shifting cultivation at areas, some places where it is not proving to be beneficial, and settle permanently in a place for making the agriculture as their occupation. They are being provided various educational facilities so that they are able to fetch the fruit of modernization, as well as they may become part of the employment through which they are able to live sustainably. And the greater portion of the grant, both from state and the central sectors, have been invested in imparting education at primary, pre-matric or post-matric levels, so that they gain education and then come out of their protected areas and try mixing up with the other areas. We know that they are definitely shy, but they should be able to mix up. And the wastage and dropouts in the tribal education has been equally stupendous. So we need to build up. Schools are established in the tribal areas where education up to 10th standard has been made completely free for them. And there has been many ashram schools so that they are provided with the basic education. Otherwise, also we know that there is a reservation of the seats so that they are able to get the education irrespective of the marks and all. There have been number of medical facilities being provided to the tribals for running the healthcare institutions, for the scheduled tribe development department, which is running allopathic outpatient clinics and all. Medical assistance through the hospitals, it is being provided. Tribal relief fund is there so that they get the financial assistance, and they are able to cure the various diseases, or even during the natural calamity they are able to come up from the disastrous event and then amalgamate in the journey of country's growth and development. There is a Janani Janma Raksha maternal care project is also going on, which envisages for extending timely assistance of rupees 1,000 per month for 18 months, beginning from the third month of the pregnancy, so that till the child becomes 1 year. And there have been various mobile medical units and primary health care centers which are established all over the tribal areas so that they get the proper medical health facilities. The various voluntary organizations are involved so that they are encouraged and they are for the upliftment of the tribal areas. The tribals, because they live in the forest transects, so through the act, through the constitution, they are allowed certain concessions to use the forest, and which includes they may take water for agriculture purposes. So for which the places like Meghalaya and all, they have bamboo drip agriculture practices are there, where they join the water bodies to their agricultural land through the bamboo, and they have got the pipes. It is one of the excellent thing which, if you get a chance, you should visit and see that how in the difficult terrains, in a steeply sloping areas, they are fetching the water and they are developing the agriculture crops, digging of wells or canals for agriculture purposes in the forest land, free grazing in the open forest, removal of stones and earth for domestic or agriculture use. They are given certain concessions, removal of timber, bamboos, and canes and etc. for construction and repairs of the houses. You may also understand that when they are removing all such things, they do help the forest dwellers or the forest guards and all, because they just use and they don't allow the material to fire, catch fire in the forest areas. And fishing and hunting, which is excluded in the forested, in the protected fauna. Otherwise, they're allowed. Even the shifting cultivation is allowed to a certain extent. Now we have come to the important aspect of role of the important modern technologies. So, dear friends, we must understand that to create a sustainable change in the lives of the tribal population, while focusing on their inherent strengths, we know that the way they are hardworking, the way they live close to the nature, the way they are able to fetch the resources from the nature for the benefit of the nature, and even they use to the bare minimum the facilities which are provided by the nature, and they live sustainably with the nature for thousands of years, and using technologies to overcome environmental variables and deterrence through scientific intervention. Now the time has come, because the pressure on those forest areas or on the tribal populations is growing. So through scientific interventions, we can tell them to use the resources in a consumptive manner, and we need to build stronger linkages between the communities, nature, and development, and integrate with the growth of the nation. Because if the nation has to grow, then the 42% population of the tribal population should not be left behind. We need to take them forward. So the role of the modern technologies is of paramount importance, because once we understand that what are the requirements of these tribal technologies, definitely we should be able to take them forward. Now, because they live very close to nature, as they live very close to nature, dear friends, some of you may be knowing that there is a village called Kongthang, which was raised by Rajya Sabha member very recently, Rakesh Sinha ji, in Rajya Sabha, that the whistling sound is the name of the person. Every person, once he takes a birth, his name is kept by one specific whistling sound. So you can understand that these populations, tribal populations, those which live very close to nature, they understand the natural rhythm in a much more better way. It means they have got the performance, we need to harness it. So for that, we need to create high quality sound catalog of ethnic and local musical instruments and styles, because these societies, they live in a secluded place, they don't mix up. So they do have their pastimes. So when they have got their pastimes, so they have already, only thing is it needs to be integrated, and this facility is going to fetch huge sums, huge amount. You know that there has been Shillong Chamber Choir. They have performed all over the globe. They have performed even in the President House or Prime Minister's house, and they have fetched such a great recognition. So we need to create a platform for indigenous talent to access the national and international music industry. There we are lacking. We talk of tribal development, but we should know that what is their soul, how they can mix up. So that's what is there, one of the added thing which is the use of the technology. We can bring them to the main field. Second thing, we know that 87% of the population, they are dependent upon the agriculture. Now, as the agriculture is growing, as the population is growing, as the industries are growing, the land availability to the human being is going down and down. So we know that to improve the income by training them in the advanced cultural practices, even adopting the vertical farming, because they have been so close to nature that they understand the rhythm of the agricultural produces. So we need to use this expertise, where they know that how plants grow, how plants talk. We need to take them to the hydroponics and all as the technologies are growing, but leaving them, if we'll bring some expertise of some urban areas, probably we'll be missing the bus, or will not be able to provide proper facility, the proper guidance to them. There are usage of GIS and drone technology, as recently raised by our finance minister while presenting the budget, that the drone technology has to prove, which is very, very efficient to provide assessing the potential of any area, because we know that these tribal areas, they do practice shifting cultivation and all, but they don't know, they know the various climatic patterns, the weather pattern and all. But to improve the yield, to improve the harvest, we need to use the latest technology and tell them that there are various sensors are there, like lidar sensor or hyperspectral sensor or multispectral sensor, because of the changing climate, because of the dependence of the agriculture on the weather, on the climate, and the climate is changing. So by these sensors, we can just fly and we can study and we can know that what is the best time or earliest time to harvest without the things becomes damaged or the crop gets damaged. So along with this, there are lot many instruments, there are lot many equipments which these tribals, they have been using them since long, and it is being evolved with time. Now we have got the 3D technology, printing technology, with the kind of material, whatever kind of material we require. Even if we want steel grade, it can be produced. So with such technologies, there are specific instruments which they are habitual of using. We can produce them and give them, and then to integrate them with our field. So the 3D technology for making various instruments is of great importance. With these things in mind, Northeastern Hill University has submitted a project proposal to the Ministry of Science and Technology under STI Science and Technology Innovation for Scheduled Tribe areas, Scheduled Tribe Hub, so that these indigenous technologies can be developed and can be these people, the tribal people, can be brought to Shillong or any place nearby, because Shillong they are habitual of, they know, they are aware of, this is their land. They can be brought in, they can be trained, and through such centers, very easy integration of their thoughts into the reality is possible. Now, whenever we are moving ahead, we need to know that whatever we are doing, we need to aware them with a specific ability and commitment. Then only our actions will be effective, because we have been working with various schemes after independence, but they are not effective. So to make our steps effective, we need to aware, we need to have the ability to make them aware, and with the commitment. So the awareness required, so that it is the ability to recognize the situation in real time, so that we develop our action and make the people aware with whatever things after critical evaluation or critically self-reflective nature of any of the activity. And there is a function of experience, communication, self-discovery, and feedback, so that each and every process is improved upon. There is an ability to learn and understand technical issues is the basis of our career. So it is a function of the influence or ability to communicate or to resolve the conflicts or ability to solve the problem is of great importance, so that our collaborative efforts can solve the problems, local problems, and integrate them. And the commitment is very, very important thing, because it leads to a maturity, is the fully aware recognition that one's decision make a difference. Because if we want to integrate 42% of the population, it has to make a difference, both positively and negatively in the beginning, but we need to change it to a positive outcome slowly. And so that we develop in no-win scenarios, one must still make a hard decisions, because what happens that the moment we move on, we try to solve any problem, a problem might have decided a negative impact on some. If we take some steps, say if we want to bring in the main tribal population to the mainstream, then definitely there will be some negative impact on some of the people. But we need to take hard decisions, so that to bring in that 42% population to the mainstream. With this, I would like to thank you, and I would like, hopefully I have done justice, but if there are some queries and all, I am open for discussion. Thank you once again, and welcome for this excellent program. I would like to thank the organizers to have given me chance to discuss with you all, so that we are able to build up, develop, and bring this big community, which is 42% of the population of India, in our arms, in our stronghold, and take them forward with special initiatives which Government of India is proposing, but with various agencies, we need to put them onto the ground so that they become practically applicable. So thank you very much for providing me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful deliberation on different aspects of tribal development. And you are rightly mentioned about several development agenda provided by the government of India, and how we will go reach to develop our tribal resources and tribal culture in our country. Now, I would like to invite the director, Dr. Vikram Kesari Jena, to carry forward the session with queries. Over to you, Dr. Jena. Dr. Jena, please unmute. Yes.
No. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Rudraji, and thank you so much, Professor Walia, for accepting our invitation and sharing your ideas, thought, and very insightful. Now I'd like to invite San Kashyapji for go for a quick comment, then I will come to back for discussions. Yeah, please, San Bhai, unmute. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Yeah. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your insightful talk. I kind of joined 10 minutes late, so I might have skipped like a few slides. But what I could see was a very clear contradiction as the presentation proceeded. Somehow, with the use of modern technology, the first half of the presentation was very much appreciative about tribals' way of living, their engagement with the nature, their indigenous knowledge, and then suddenly we drifted towards not only conservation of their knowledge but also how modern technology will help them co-opt to a new style of life. Now, as I understand, you are an environmental scientist, and we in social sciences and humanities have been trained differently to understand these issues. I think the problem we are discussing goes back to what has been discussed in this country in 1950s between Jawaharlal Nehru and Barrier Elwin. That how do you make sense of their world? So whether we want them to, as the Indian state would want them to allow to live the way they have been living in harmony, in cognizance with the nature, or whether we want to, really change their living system and make them co-opt to our kind of mainstream, our mainstream which is guided by our new technologies and our new modernity. What then that leaves to the problem is that, as you concluded, that it might hamper some lives, but what if we end up losing even that kind of treasure which we have been, the state has been allowing them to continue because there was some kind of a distance? Wouldn't, seeing all this problem in a very technologically deterministic way would fade away the identity itself rather than, making it something else? Thank you.
Yeah, I can just add up a bit. Although, the tribals are living, or the so-called definition, if you remember, means these are they like to live in the far-flung areas, in the remote areas, and they do occupy the forest land. They are secluded. Most of them they are landless laborers, or they are just the laborers only. So my whole intention is that unless we integrate the major part of the population, which is definitely of importance in the growth story of India. Now that time has gone that we talk of urban area, rural area, the exodus of rural area to the urban area, then from urban area to the rural area is one social concept which has been moving ahead. But now time has come that we need to look beyond. Why? Because in the rural area, there is not only rural, but there are tribal areas also. So as we are trying to build up the growth story, we definitely need to see to it that the role of each and every individual is protected. Although I told while presenting that it is being protected, all right, by various measures, but it has not reached to the ground level as yet. So we need to introspect, we need to work out, we need to find out the reasons. Now, if we introspect and find some problem with some of the scheme, it doesn't mean that we'll go back to that scheme. Now, the growth story is moving fast, wherein we need to catch up with national, international standards. So now we can do it for the time's sake, like what are the things which are being done. And say 1993, the United Nations understood the importance of important group of tribals, but we couldn't integrate them as yet. So remember, my thing is that as we are growing, that's what is one of the important thought behind the present government's SC scheduled caste hub, scheduled tribe hubs through Department of Science and Technology is to develop technologies which are very close to the heart of these tribal peoples. Once it is very close, probably amalgamation may be easy. Now it will be, again, every scheme depends upon the person, how he or she uses it on the ground. But my proposition is that we know that by now, 75 years of independence, we know that what are the things in which these landless, these tribal peoples, they have got the expertise. So we need to integrate for our sustainability, for our projection to the outside world. That's what I mean to project. I wanted to say. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, with this valid point, I would like to more highlight from your very underdog representation related to tribal issues, particular Northeast region. You rightly mentioned you are an environmental scientist. When I'm talking with you, it's a Making Mind series, invitation to global dialogue. So this is the time we should dialogue something. You representing the voice of Northeast region for so many decades. And perhaps you quite little bit familiar with this Chandi Prasad Bhatt and the last man Sundar Bogunaji. Ecology is the permanent income. If you remember these days, particularly in Chipko movement, what happened in particular Northeast region. And we'll add something more valuable in here when you are talking about environmental scientist. It's very important to mapping the ethics of environment, the past. And then we go for the business model of the 21st century, which is based on particular postal arena. It's a very problematic arena. If you look, this 45 years of independence, we have been so many guilty founded through policy. You rightly mentioned about your 38 minutes of lecture given by you, highlighted so many issues related to the policy paradoxical frameworks. This policy, I mean to say, even overlapping every time, one policy for change it out for the another policy. And another policy is chunk out for the more policy, how to distract the knowledge crisis of the indigenous system, the real scientific practitioners of this modern world. And last, very fantastically, in the immense satisfactory slides, those are highlighting the issues related to nature. Nature is one of the most important aspect of this arena, particularly the 21st century globe is with. Now, I would like to ask you, what is your basic observation in how you look at the problems when you go to talk to them and you start preserving their knowledge system, preserving their cultural practices, preserving their orations, preserving their the tradition they were believe in that. And what is your perception? What is your suggestions for their development for say or development for new generation is concerned? Please. Unmute yourself, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you are discussing something which is of great importance. And actually, your voice was not clear, it was breaking. So, but it's okay. I want to know, I mean, I've understood the question that you want to know that the how things are going to move, especially with the younger generation, isn't it? Your voice was breaking actually, so I couldn't get your voice.
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah,
Please,
very
please.
clearly. The thing is that, see, the time is running very fast, and we have reached to a level where integration of each and every citizen in the growth story, in the train which is moving, is of great importance. So for such, we need to devise various techniques, various methods, so that in place of just say the laborers or contractors, or say landless laborers, or working in the field, they start living with their dreams and generating some of the things, some of the equipment, some of the material for their well-being, get their growth, and to become part of the story. Although success story of India. Although your question was not very clear, but I tried to respond to you, but I don't know. Yeah, if you
Anyway, sir,
write.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's okay. Very, very fine, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, here is one more question from Ghansam Giri, one of the earlier gold medalist of Ravenshaw University. He was asking, what is your views regarding the policy framework of India government for Adivasis? If present government has a key interest for the development of Adivasi, then why the government rejected the ideas of Khaka committee?
yeah. I know that whatever has been done by the various earlier governments since independence, the work is being carried out. We know in 1972, the lot of activities were undertaken. Later on also, a lot of work has been done by various government. You say Congress government or NDA government or whatever government. Now what happens that they have not been sufficient. Now what happens that now we need to change, and we need to move forward by incorporating the modern tools and techniques. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that whatever work has been, whatever time has passed has passed. Now the only thing is that we still have to do a lot of work. Although rejection of one idea or another doesn't mean that the growth story somewhere we are trying to, the government is trying to stop. No, no government would like to stop the participation of 42% of its population into the growth story. So it all such things, they do come for a short duration, but in a longer duration, now we need to take the cause forward and have to build those equipments, those facilities which are very close to the growth story, in place of just providing them the medical facility or education reservation or whatsoever. We need to bring them at par and take them at par. Now, how long will take them with various welfare measures? I said, someday we have to come above it. So that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, what is your perception and ideas to suggest the government, as you have heading the skill development agencies, in particular NEHU University? Yeah. And furthermore, what is your agenda related to how to preserve their culture and language and identity per se in 21st century's arena? In particular, post-pandemic life challenges, how their practices has been changed regularly. And what kind of role government has to be playing?
So,
Yes, please.
being part of Deen Dayal Upadhyay Community College for Skill Development and Incubation Center, Northeastern University, as well as environmental sciences and geology. What we have done, especially from the Incubation Center and Skill Development Center, we have proposed 5 centers of excellence in Northeastern University, which is music, as I said, that world-class centers, so that they are able to showcase their music. Second thing is these musical instruments, it is not easy to develop them, so have 3D facility so that these equipments or whatever they are thinking of, such things can be developed. Third thing is to develop the technology for improving the agricultural practices. And because we have talking about the shifting cultivation, now in place of the shifting cultivation, if we have got the hydroponics, or we can get the vertical farming, so that they can be trained, because they are expert in farming. So they don't have land, but if they are trained for vertical farming, they don't require much land. The government can give and their expertise can be used. So this is what is the third center. Fourth center, we are thinking of the drone technologies, so that to train these tribal people, and give them the drone, they do their mapping, they do their say spraying of fertilizer, and that will minimize the cost. That's what these 5 centers of technologies they are supposed to provide. And if everything goes well, probably we'll be having, and we'll train and we'll showcase Government of India that these modern technologies can build up or bridge the gap between these societies living in the northeastern part with the mainstream regions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I would like to again invite San Kashyapji as some technical enrich there. Please, Sanbhai, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. I just had a quick follow-up question regarding the larger politics of what you're suggesting. I have been following the works of, let's say, Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram and Vidya Bharati movement for quite some time now. There's this great problem or resistance from some corners which starts coming the moment we talk in terms of training someone to be something we like to be, right? So all the agenda of development or developing at a faster speed and taking care of every section of citizens is fine, but a question would be that what are the hints in the policy framework that you allow these people who are the citizens of India, eligible citizens of India, to map and conserve their knowledge on their own rather than being done by someone else?
Very rightly said, Mr. Shan. Actually, these means what we think. I have been also associated with number of activities, number of programs run by whatever organizations you said, or there are some few more organizations also. But unless you repose the faith of the societies, they think that it is like another scheme, and these people have come with their vested interest. They don't link it, because as I said, that these schemes should be very close to their heart. If you don't understand that what is close to the heart, you sit there somewhere, you may think that one scheme which is made for the people of Chhattisgarh or Maharashtra is applicable in the Northeast, or anything which is made for the people of Northeast is applicable in Andaman Nicobar and all. It is a very, very wrong concept. And with this concept, people are still working. It is going to fail. Again, it is going to fail. But our whole intention is that if government spends, because government is spending from our money, our taxpayers' money. So if they are spending, at least it should be utilized for the right cause, and the things are taking the right shape. It is, I know that there are many activities going on, and those activities, they are self-sustained. Remember, they don't expect too much from anybody, and these people, which is the backbone of the agriculture, because 87% of them are sustaining agriculture. The person who is having the land, he is dependent upon these people only. So they don't expect too much from the government, too much from Adivasi Kalyan or any of the schemes, whatever you think of. So unless you pierce into their mind and use that's why I gave example of Rakesh Sinha ji or Kongthang village, wherein you have to touch their inner self from the outer surface. I don't think that it will be like 75 years, another 75 years will pass through, and these people will still remain the downtrodden, and the difference will be so much that the situation may not be in our control. So we have to learn to live with them, to change with them, and to develop them. There have been lot of people, those who have devoted their whole life, but their sacrifice was for different purpose that time. Now the technologies are growing. That time the India was moving with a different speed. Now the speed is that technologies are developing. Yeah, I think so. In place of more discussion, we can have more, but the time is that we need to understand the basic areas where we need to work, not the welfare. If you provide them welfare thing, then they think that it is the obligation of the government to give. They don't think that it is something extra which you are giving. So we have to come up to that level and then move forward.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for enlightening with us. And these people are watching in live YouTube and Facebook too. It's really a very engaging session. And I would love to the future engagement also with you to other more highlighting issues related to on your work particular. Now I would like to invite Professor Rudranaran Das to go for a official vote of thanks as well. Thank you so much, sir, and looking forward for future engagements. Namaste, sir, and good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank everyone to help me putting this conference together. First of all, I would like to thank thanks to our speaker for tonight, Professor Walia, for your contributions and time to share your insightful thoughts and research to our audiences. And I have to acknowledge the institutional contribution, Professor institutional contribution here, in particular with Indian Institute of Management, Sambalpur, Central University of Odisha, Ravenshaw University. My special thanks to our patrons, Professor Sanjay Naik, Professor Sarat Kumar Palita, Professor Mahadev Jaiswal, and the convener, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda and Chardar Panigraiji. Special mentions to Dr. Vikram Kesar Jena, Director Center of ADIVASI Research and Development, for organizing such insightful conferences, and Shan Kashyapji, Dr. Shubham Das, for helping me to carry forward this session. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank the entire CARD team for their support and guidance for this wonderful conference. Professor Anupur Patnaik, Professor Preeti Siranjan, Dr. Samuel Lima, Dr. Kamal Prasad Mahanti, Dr. Ghanshyam Giri, Dr. Shravan Bag, Dr. Meena Das, and Shan Kashyap for their contributions for making this event a world class. Thank you. Thank you so much. The meeting is concluded.